So next we got up on the lineup over here, also one of my favorites, a New York girl, so I love her even that much more. Her name is Collette Shine, everybody, and she is coming on the screen right this second.
Can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Can you hear
Good morning.
Okay. You may have saw me go in and out and in and out. I apologize for that. My connectivity today is disastrous.
Not a problem. You're coming in live now, and that's what we need.
And is my lower third in the? Can you see it?
Well, we can see it, but it looks
it's backwards.
Like it's written in ancient text. Okay, so it's not a problem. But
I'm going to turn it off. It's distracting.
Not a problem. All right.
Not a problem. Just take it up with Google. Take it up with Google.
You know what? As soon as we're done, we'll start picketing.
Exactly.
So, Collette, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. And I'm really excited about your presentation in general because I happen to have about 15 sets of what you, well, I shouldn't say I do, but my family has 15 sets of linens, and I'm really curious on how the heck I am going to get these things under control.
Yeah. So I love the way that Anne started off because it's very thought-provoking. But now I'm taking it down to really, really practical, talking about laundry. Everybody has it. Everybody does it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. You know, and what I want to talk about today is kind of questioning what your routine is. Talk about some products that you can use in your laundry room to make life a little easier, and then kind of touch a little bit on that kind of renewing for spring by kind of reducing what you have. So let's start off with the normal routine I think most people have. Now, obviously, I'm kind of broadly generalizing it as a family and what a family might do for their routine. You know, people who live by themselves, people who live in New York City, it's a whole different world of laundry. Generally, laundry comes together. You collect it from the house. It comes together. You sort it. You sort it by whites. You sort it by darks. You do the wash. You do the dryer. You pull it back out. You fold it. Then you sort it again. So as you're seeing here, there's kind of like this trend of you're redoing a couple of steps. And I want to question, could you do it a little differently? A lot of times in families, especially families with young children, maybe this will ring true for you. When you're folding laundry, you're like, whose shirt is this? Whose pants are this? Mm-hmm. And some people, you know, in the organizing world, obviously, you come up with these elaborate systems for identifying clothes. You can, you know, do labels in clothes. I've heard of the great Miss Dot system. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, where you put one dot in for the oldest child, 2 dots in for the second child, 3 dots for the third child, and if clothing gets passed down, you just kind of add dots, and then you can tell the clothing apart. So it's a great little trick, but what if you didn't have to do that? What if you kept everyone's clothes all together, and each person in the household had a laundry basket in their room where they could sort lights and darks? I have a great example. I'm hoping these pictures are going to show up well on screen and with the delay, so I'm going to hold it here for a minute. Can you see it at all?
Yep, just hold it steady there, and I think the pixelation stops, so it's good to see 3 compartments there.
Yep.
Right?
Okay. So this is from Land of Nod. It's a great basket. It's big. You can separate lights, darks, kind of others, if you will. But the idea being, when you do the laundry, you do it by person. So you do a load, a light and a dark. Maybe they're slightly smaller loads, or maybe you can, you know, kind of take general family items like towels and things like that to kind of boost the load up a little bit. But the idea being that you're doing the laundry of one person. And when that stuff comes out of the dryer, you fold it, it goes back there. And you're not intermingling all of this clothing from all these different people and then having to separate it all back out again. It's just kind of a little more streamlined way. It's a little bit out of the box. I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm trying to bring today. Is there a way to kind of like do your routine a little differently?
Right.
And then also talk a little bit about the frequency of which you do laundry. So this is where the reducing can kind of come in handy. Are there tricks that you can do to maybe force you to do laundry a little more frequently? I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but maybe it's not so dreaded if it's not such an overwhelming task. So I have a funny story. My brother is a gym teacher. So
Right.
he has T-shirts, sweatpants, I mean, you name it, it's oodles.
Right.
The guy could go for months without having to do laundry because he has so many clothes.
Uh-huh.
But eventually, he runs out of clothes, and then, oh my Lord, what a job it is. It's mounds and mounds. It would take him an entire weekend to do all his laundry.
Right.
So I kind of feel like the trick is, if you don't have so much, it forces you to do it more frequently. So, for instance, like my husband has white T-shirts that he wears under his dress shirts.
Mm-hmm.
He only has so many of them. He can't get through 2 full weeks of work without having to do laundry because he runs out of those T-shirts.
Right.
So, again, it's like a trick.
Mm-hmm.
To go to talking about the linens that you were talking, how many linens do you really think you need for each bed? Out of curiosity.
How many do I think, or the other people in my house think?
Exactly.
I mean, personally, I would think that you need 2, maybe 3.
Right. And, you know, the Queen Martha Stewart says two things of towels, one on the bed and one that's in the laundry. You know, maybe that's a little severe, but the point being, you know, I was with a client not long ago, and she had 12 sets of sheets in one bed. And
Were you with my wife? Is that what happened? You were with my wife and I didn't know?
And I don't think it ever occurred to her. So I pulled out the old, well, Martha Stewart says, and she said, really? How many sets of sheets do you have? And I said, 2. And she was like, oh, well, maybe I don't need all of these sheets. And like it just didn't occur to her, I think. And so whatever, it was a springboard for me to at least get her down to 8. So that was progress.
Right.
Again, point being, little tricks for the frequency in which you do things, and making things easier in your laundry routine. Another great idea I've heard is socks. Okay, so I love this little story. When I was growing up, we always had a basket that had the loose socks in it. And my grandmother used to come over, pull out the basket out, and fold and match socks. And then she would leave the socks on the kitchen table. And we would always say, oh my God, the sock fairy came. Because that was always like the dreaded task. Well, later in life, I met someone who all of the white socks were the same brand of sock and all of the black socks were the same brand of sock. There was never any matching involved. They were all the same. I was like, oh my God. It's like that was completely eye-opening to me. So I think looking at again, just to go back to looking at the laundry routine that you have, what can you do about that routine to make it more efficient? Because I don't think we don't look at it because it's such a boring task. But I think everything in our lives, if we go back and we re-examine what we're doing, we could probably find ways to streamline things.
Right.
And actually, earlier this week, this is kind of a little bit off point, but I want to kind of give everyone a little bit of a resource. We had a speaker earlier this week at a meeting that I went to, and his name was Ari Meisel, and he wrote a book called Less Doing. I think it's Less Doing is his website, actually. But he was talking about just so many routines that we do in daily life, and that there's just so many steps, and how our brains are wired to do the same thing the same way all the time. That's just kind of how our brains work. Right. And that you can rewire your brain to do things differently. So, again, a little totally an aside, but I want to challenge you for that kind of the laundry routine. Okay, let's move beyond talking about the routine to the actual space itself. Mm-hmm. Because I've got some great products that I just, want to talk about, like what makes a great laundry room, what's really going to work for you. I don't know about you, but every laundry room I ever had growing up was like a dungeon.
Right.
Like you didn't want to be down there. It was dark. It was dank. So that's the first thing. Lighting. Great lighting in your laundry room. If you don't have good lighting, I mean, you're treating stains, you're doing things of that nature, you need good lighting. You also need a place to put dirty laundry. So let's make this a space you want to be in. The laundry shouldn't be all over the floor. You don't want to put it on top of the washer and dryer. You want to have, either laundry baskets. And by the way, you can't have enough laundry baskets, I believe.
I agree. Especially if
I also think, I also believe that you need to, maybe it's cheap, but if your laundry baskets don't all nest in each other, then when they're not in use, you want to be able to consolidate them. So you want to at least make sure your laundry baskets can. The second thing is, so for the laundry, back to the laundry on the floor.
Right.
You don't want it on the floor. You don't want it on the top of the washer and dryer. On the top of the washer and dryer, you don't want to have your detergent and all of that stuff. You want to have, a shelf for that. If you don't have a room for a shelf, I've got another great product I'm going to show you that I'm hoping won't pixel.
I'm hoping. Try to move real slow because your pixelation is really funky. But your audio, I think, is very cool. John, you have any problems with the audio? Audio is cool?
Oh, he's on mute.
Yeah, I'm having a little. I'm having a little trouble with the audio too.
Oh, you're having trouble with the audio? Okay.
Yeah. It's not
video,
terrible, but it's a little wavy.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hold on for another minute there, and okay.
I can see what you're showing though now a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm going to refer to a few things. I actually did a blog posting that's going to go live around noon today that has all of these pictures. It refers back to Vent and has all these pictures of all these products that I think are great. So rather than I'm having a hard enough time with the audio and the pixelation and my everything today that I'll just keep talking and not show anything. I think that'll just so again, the reason you want to keep that surface clean on top of your washer and on top of your dryer is you need a spot for folding. So having a table or having some sort of surface that you can fold on in your laundry space is also helpful. Waist high is the ideal, and again, go to my blog. There is this great flip up shelf. You mount it to the wall, it folds flat, and then you can just flip it up and use it for folding. So it's great if you don't really have a lot of space in a laundry area. Also in your laundry area, I'm just going to check my notes so I don't forget anything. Clothing rod for any hang drying any clothing. You need space for storing your irons, anything maybe you could hang on the wall that you can hang like the iron and the ironing board, space for any collapsible racks that you might need. So these are all the things you need. You look at the space like you would any other space in your home. When we declutter, we kind of go in there and try to look at it with fresh eyes. I don't think we ever look at our laundry room with fresh eyes. If you make it a space that you want to be in, can you do something to the floor in there? Like, can you add foam tiles to make it more comfortable to be standing in there and working? Can you make sure you have a radio or a television so that it's kind of fun? Can you add color? Can you create baskets or laundry baskets or anything of that nature that you can kind of throw in there to just brighten up the space and make it a space that you want to be in? The other thing to watch out for, and I'm sure this happens to a lot of people, is the laundry room the dumping ground for the rest of the junk in the house because it's out of the way. Think about it.
I don't have to. I'm picturing,
your basement.
Well, no, I'm picturing, we're fortunate. We have the laundry, closet is on like the first floor, but it also happens to be like right when you walk into the house. So sometimes the top of the washer and dryer turns into an impromptu mail sorting desk, and the mail will sit up there, and then you go and you bring down a laundry, you forget that you have the mail, and now you got a situation.
Yeah. That's one of those instances where, again, you can't have too many laundry baskets. Right. Well, what if all that mail ended up in a laundry basket, and then when you came down with your laundry, you could just move the laundry basket with the mail, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the two things being blended together, right?
Exactly.
Because you want to be able to clear that in an instance like yours where the washer and dryer is in a closet, you don't have a lot of other space. So what can you bring to the equation that allows you to clear that space on top of the washer and dryer quickly? And I would say, obviously baskets are something that can do that. That's, an organizer's best friend, containers, right? Right.
So that's, I was really excited when we first started talking about this subject. It's like laundry and linens. Yeah. And like immediately I knew that it would be a great subject to talk about because of the way that you spoke about it. Like, how many people think about their linen and laundries? And I never did. not like
Right.
that. I've thought about what a pain in the butt it is to do laundry. I've thought about
Right.
what a pain in the butt it is to organize those linens, but I never really thought about doing things differently. So like, like Ann was saying before, like you take stuff and you rearrange and then you put it all back, but you're not getting rid of anything. So I think it's great. And especially what I like is the idea of doing one person's laundry at a time. And,
Yeah.
it makes sense because that really is like, it's a pain in the butt. You're in there and you're pulling out. Well, I mean, for me, I have two small young kids, so I got little socks, and then I got my socks, and then I got my wife's pants. And it's just a big jumble. And then even when the kids try to help, because you always want to include them in some kind of activity, even when they help, they end up making more of a mess because then you're actually doing it 2 more times because they mess everything up and mix it up. So
Yeah.
it's a really good suggestion, at least.
It's an interesting concept. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other
And also
thing
think about other people who are in your home. And, like, mom doesn't want to be the one doing laundry all the time.
right.
But chances are dad probably can't tell the difference between the clothes of the kids. Maybe the babysitter can. Sorry, no offense. But
No.
maybe the babysitter, the grandmother, like, if you're going to have, if there's other people floating around.
Right.
I go into some of my clients' homes, and I'm amazed at how many people are kind of in and out of the house when there's a family and kids, and you just don't, no one knows. So it's helpful to have someone who can fold laundry for you, but, they may not know. You still have to, mom still has to come in and sort it all out.
Right.
So wouldn't it be nice if you can just get rid of that step?
It would be. And then, of course, another thing is nice, too, is like, when you do laundry, like certain people, like myself, I'm crazy when it comes to folding my own stuff. So,
Right.
It's good maybe even if you have conversations with your significant other, your spouse, or whoever you're doing things with, because there's nothing like getting folded laundry and then getting upset because you want to refold it the way you like to do it. So I may even think about sharing some of my quirkiness with my wife right now and make my laundry experience better. Because I'm sure I do the same thing to her. I'll fold something in half instead of in thirds, and then she's got to do it again. So it's just a bunch of time saving. And the other thing that I really like, and it's funny, is with the socks, because I used to have all different kinds of socks, and then you'd lose a sock, and then you'd have the abandoned sock, and then you got to draw fill with nothing that matches. Then when I started to get real busy in like my previous life, I was wearing a lot of the same stuff anyway. So I just had 2 kinds of socks, same brand like you mentioned before. One was black, one was white. So I never had anything, and I usually would have about like 10 days worth of socks. But what would happen is I never really scheduled my laundry. And then even though I had like a big supply of socks, it'd be 10 days later and I wouldn't do my laundry, and then I'd have no socks,
Right.
So it's important to schedule that and put it into your routine. I think these are just great suggestions. I think it's definitely going to make a difference in my life, just 2 little tricks like this. So
Right,
awesome.
Right. Yeah, and that's really, it's laundry, right? It's kind of boring, but
yeah. But at least
I just spent 15 minutes talking about it, and I could keep talking.
And you know what? I'm going to be furthering this conversation later today with some people I know. Like, check this out about laundry. So anyway, well, listen, thank you. It was
Thank you.
It was great. It's so common, and yet you never take the time to stop about these simple things that can really make a difference. And I mean, look at the smile on my face right now. I'm excited to do some laundry later today. It's going to be great. I'll wash some clothes. All right.
All right.
Collette, little round. Oh, and of course, everybody, Collette Shine. She's wonderful. She's right in the heart of New York City. She's awesome. I mean, every time we have a conversation, it's great. We're involved in stuff together. So check her out. It's organizeandshine.com.
Yep, thank you.
All her stuff will be linked underneath, and special offers and all that stuff, PDFs. It'll all be good. So Collette, thank you so much.
Rapid, the world's greatest gift wrap organizer. www.rapidgiftbag.com